So welcome back to another episode of Finding Your Way with Lori and Tanya. We are super excited you found us. If you are a first-time listener, listen, we wholeheartedly believe that you are here for a reason and you have found us for a reason. And today, extra special reason that we think you found us. And then if you're a return listener, thank you so much for listening to us. And we hope that you will continue to do so and share us with your friends, family, anybody you think needs to hear what we have to say. So today we have a special guest that we are super excited about, and I'm going to turn it over to Lori to introduce Ann.
Yes, we are super excited to have Ann Klossing today. So I'm going to read her little bio. So Ann is an author and intuitive coach who tutors and performs channel clearing sessions with individuals who are willing to take 100% responsibility in transforming their lives. Through Ann's own transformation and ability to channel through automatic writing, she spiritually assists those individuals in a chronic state of negative being. By exposing the energetic block within the client, she provides a new perspective for the client to address and remove the block within. Having overcome major clinical depression herself, Ann understands the challenges of chronic negative thinking and habitual thought patterns. Ann has a passion for mindful thought to overcome depression and an understanding of the laws of the universe. Combined, she tutors to restore the power within. She is the author of Finding You is Finding God, her personal memoir and teaching tool to overcome abuse, depression, and fear, which is soon to be published. Ann is following her passion and calling to stand up and shine. She resides on a dairy farm with her life partner, and she has one diamond of a daughter and cherishes the time with her family. Ann loves the country life, spending time in nature and in her gardens. She is often found roaming the farm, walking her 4 dogs. So welcome, Ann. A little bit about how I met Ann. I think we were in a Jack Canfield program together, and Ann and I connected. We had to do like group projects and stuff, and I was put in a group with Ann, first time meeting her. And she offered at the time, you were trying to get people to volunteer for you to test your automatic writing. And so I was like, sure, I'll do it, and did it and really connected with Ann and told Tanya about it. And that's how Tanya met Ann. So I'll turn it to Tanya.
Yeah, so Lori told me about this great experience that she had, and she kind of told me a little about Ann, and I didn't necessarily know what I was getting into, but I thought, Lori and I've said this throughout our podcast, we'll try about anything. If it isn't so far out of our price range and so far off of our normal mark, we'll try it. And so that is really where this came into play. Is Lori introduced me. I said, yes, Ann, I'll help. Thinking, okay, what am I getting myself into? And so I was actually, and I remember I was in Myrtle Beach and I was on vacation, and we did a call, and I was sitting outside, and she did this reading for me. And it was so interesting because she started talking about Metatronics Cube, and I had no idea what that meant, and she had no idea what that meant at the time. And she was like, I don't even know what this is. Do you know what this is? And I'm like, no. She said, she starts telling me about it and keeps getting these visions and walked me through a whole, like, you go from point to point to point, and here's my homework and what I need to do. And she just was downloading constantly. And if you've never experienced that, there's no doubt when you experience somebody going through that they're downloading. It was no joke. And so I got home and did my homework, and it was really helpful. And so that's really where all of this came to be, and how we knew Ann. And honestly, 2 years ago, and where you were then just starting to gain some confidence, Ann, in your ability. And then where we see you now is just night and day. I mean, in the last 2 years, you have just exploded and ballooned into awesomeness. So we're so excited to share you with our listeners.
I am blown away by the introduction, ladies. Thank you so much. And I thank you for inviting me to this. You are my very first podcast, so this is exciting.
Yay.
Hold the space that we can hold the internet connection, because I've dropped out 3 times now. So to give you a little humor, the receptor for our internet is on the neighbor's silo that bounces across the tower on the Iowa side that connects us. So it gets a little entertaining. So Yes, the transformation for me has been slow, but in the last 2 years, it's just like fast tracked. So my point and my mission in life, my purpose is to help people. I'm like I'm the bridge. So if you are in a funk, and when I call it a funk, if you've experienced depression, anxiety, if you're struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder, you are in energy wise a low vibration. So it's one of the tools that I glommed onto right away was a book called Ask and It Is Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks. And Esther is a channeler and YouTuber. She's awesome. But that book really resonated with me. It really gets in and explains the law of attraction, and it also explains vibration. So when you're not feeling well and you're down, think of it as a battery. Your battery is drained. And if you're at joy, you've got a full battery. So the point of life is to feel. You can feel the grief because life happens. You're going to lose a loved one. Things will happen in your life that disappoint you. The point is to feel it and react accordingly. So it's bringing yourself up and out of that. So in my recovery of in and out of depression for a lot of years, probably 30 years, in and out of depression and loss in marriages that did not make it. You'd rise a little bit, you'd fall, and each time I would fall that much farther. So I really had to dig myself out of that hole, and I did it all on my own. So my passion is to be that bridge for people. And one of my healing tools was automatic writing. I didn't even know I was doing it. So what I was doing was writing a letter to the people that I needed to forgive in my life. And as I was writing these letters, I was getting answers back. And I was like, what is this? I had no idea what was going on. I had sort of followed Doreen Virtue. That was before she made her change into a different path. And her books were very helpful for me then. And it was like, automatic writing, what is this stuff? So once I learned what it was like, I took it to a local intuitive and she's like, oh yeah, you are doing it. So I found that I would write the letter to God. And, one of my biggest questions was asking what I needed to know. So in these channel clearing sessions that I do, and like I did with both of you, is you simply ask a question. What does Tanya need to know? What does Lori need to know? And I will get images. Sometimes I'll draw a few pictures, and then other times we go right into it. So I'm like you two, and I describe you as, you are the positive vibe tribe. You are at those higher vibrations. And what I find when I do readings with people with higher vibrations, there is a lot of balance. So there is high-fiving, and there's always high-fiving in every reading. What are you doing well? And now, okay, this is where you're stuck. Consider removing this. But in some of the readings that I gained my confidence in, I went through past life issues. They took me, I could see the vision of this person in that lifetime. And those healings are very, very profound. They touch me dearly. And I am so blessed that I get to witness someone make a transformation. I see that shift in energy, and I am so blessed to help a person, something that may have happened a long, long time ago. So certain individuals struggle with past life. They don't believe in it, and that's fine. You don't have to. But from my own experience and my own past life healings, this isn't our first go around, and won't be your last go around. You're never done.
Right. Well, and Lori and I talked about that before, because that was a new concept to us. We both were raised Christian and believe in God, and there's a path that people tell you if that's your religion that you take, and there's a middle, beginning, and end, right? So I think that was something. And then both of us had an experience with someone who does past life readings, and Lori's had quite a few past life experiences. And I think for us, it took that to understand and believe. We believe it for us. We're not saying nobody else has to believe and go that route, but there's definitely that for us too.
Yeah, and I think you hear the term old soul, like you're an old soul. Like I've been told that since I was born. And if you really think about what that term means, it means that your soul is more mature than a child, right? So
Correct.
if I'm born and understand things on an adult level, even though I'm a child, and people are saying, gosh, she's an old soul. That's really all we're talking about when we're saying past lives and that kind of thing, is that your soul has traveled through different dimensions and different places before you landed here.
Yes.
Well, and the other part that you said that really I'd love to hone in a little bit to with our guests is the automatic writing. Lori and I've used that. That was also something we'd never heard of, and writing the letters to people for forgiveness, but also asking the questions, and then just writing and not thinking, but whatever's coming out on paper. Now, again, Lori's a little bit better than that than I am, because she's a lot more open. Sometimes I try to control too much. But we'd love for you to talk a little bit more about that too.
The writing, think of it as meditation in the form of writing. So some people are very good at meditation and they can get right down into it. I myself, I'm very good and very fast at connecting, but then all the voices inside me just and it's your imagination just going crazy, and then I get off. So for me to really hone in on it, sitting down, focusing on that paper, my pen becomes a magic wand. And anyone going through grief, anyone going through betrayal, this is a must. Write that person. Forgiveness is not about the other person. Forgiveness is about you and dropping all the crap, pardon my expression, but it's all the gunk, all the tar, this tarry, gooky. If we could see how the universe, how God sees us, how angels see us, and I call it the universe because it's kind of a melting pot. We carry this heaviness in our hearts, and what they see is like this thick tarry ick, and that's what you need to get rid of. And you do that by writing a letter of forgiveness. And it's not just one, it's a lot of letters. And everybody, maybe it is one for you, Lori, and maybe it's 10 for you, Tanya. Everyone is individual, and growth is a process. Shedding is a process. So the writing is very intimate. It's between you and your God and your soul. And you are connected to God through your soul. We are an infinite being having a human experience. We are far more greater than you ever realize. And when you're in that depression, you do not realize that because you're at the bottom of the hole. Can't see it.
Yeah, I think when I connected with you a couple of years ago, that was the first time I'd really heard about automatic writing, or it being labeled that. I think I had probably already experienced that. Like I would meditate and then go straight into writing, whether that was a prayer or just writing down images that had come up in my meditation, that kind of thing. I didn't call it that. I didn't call it automatic writing, but I do know that I go back and look at my journal sometimes. I'm like, did I write that? Like, I don't remember writing that. That doesn't seem like my words, it doesn't seem like my tone of voice. And so, Tanya and I talk quite a bit about how journaling has been very transformative in our lives, because it is a tool that everybody has access to. Everybody can, take out a piece of paper and write down your thoughts. We've talked about it in a way of where you're dumping out that tar that's in you, the negativity that's in you, because with law of attraction, what we talk about is if I'm over there complaining to Tanya about all the yucky stuff, right? I'm drawing that back in, but we feel like when you put it in a journal or put it in writing, somehow that gets it out of your body without negatively impacting those around you. Do you believe, do you think that that's true?
Yes, I do. It's that healing mode. And like I said, healing for one person, is going to take longer than it will for another. And it is understanding. And that's what I love about what I do with the channel clearing session is you need to get to know your soul. So Esther describes it when she's channeling Abraham is the you and the you. So the you is your human side, that ego side of us, and the you is that divine being. And the you is what goes on and lives on after this human body passes. So I lost my train of thought again. So Gail's got to bring me back in.
So when you're channeling that and that you,
it's getting to know that you. So when you're in meditation, it's calming the you, it's calming that ego voice, which is you. They're both you, and they're going to sound the same. The difference is one is full of anxiety, one is full of fear, one is the one that says you can't, you shouldn't, you're not good enough. That is not divine.
right?
The other one is calm, is quiet. Dear one, yes, dear.
And and I'll say, when you were talking about writing these letters to people, then the forgiveness, I have actually done it where I've written myself some letters for as a child, for some things, as an adult. I think there's a lot of self-forgiveness, and that was pretty beneficial for me too, to write it to myself and just to be honest.
Yes.
And to let myself know, better now, you do better now, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm forgiven. And so I think that you can use this tool so many ways.
It's very powerful. And then if you add one more tool on top of it, is write that letter to yourself and then get a recorder app on your phone and record it. Then listen to it. That power, because your voice is what? Vibration. It's vocal. Vibration is what? Energy. Your soul is what? Energy. You're getting that recycled back through a recording, which kind of segs into this book that I've been talking about and yapping about, and I still don't have it done. Finding You is Finding God I'm going into my 5th year on it. So it gets better. And the reason it gets better is because I wasn't the same person I was when I started reading it. There was a whole pile of anger that came out in the first edition of that book.
Yeah.
So it was like, ooh, can't put that in. Ooh, can't put that in. So there was, a lot of growth with me, and I've got the story, my memoir done, and now we're getting into the good stuff, the teaching stuff, and your ego comes in, and when you hone in on your purpose, mine is, let me read here. Using my humor and enthusiasm to intuitively and spiritually assist those in a chronic negative state of being, exposing the blocks, it's a long one, exposing the blocks from preventing people from seeing the magic within themselves. That's my purpose. It's a big mouthful. So it's honing in on that and bringing that soul in. And the closer you get to your purpose, the closer you get to doing what you love to do, that it's not rotten, that loving little ego of ours comes in and says, oh, they're not going to like you. Oh, they're not going to do this, and they're not going to do that. And I went through that terror, and there's that terror and that anxiety. And thank God we've purged that in 2021. 2021, the tail end of it was a perfect opportunity to get rid of stuff, and it is not too late. So what you need to do is write your unpleasantries that happened in 2021, hold them in your right hand, write your pleasant ones in your left hand. You're going to bring in that light. You're going to bring it in through your left hand, bring it all the way through your heart. You're going to push it through, and you're going to shove all that icky, nasty stuff out your right. And then you're going to get rid of it, because
I like that. That's a great tool. That's something that you can physically do. And
yes, it is a physical tool. Yeah, and if you really want to deep dive into it, then the unpleasantries, before you go through that little meditation, take your unpleasantries and reframe them. What did I learn from it? What is an opportunity in the ick and the nastiness that may have been in it? I'll give you an example. My dad passed on Christmas Eve. they say you don't pick your day, but you pick your day. But I wasn't going to let that hamper or inhibit my joy on Christmas Eve. You know, so it's letting, when a person dies, it's like they get this life review, but it's like on their way out, they can see in such a vastness. They give a gift. And I swear that man took this cloak that I had myself bathed in depression in, that he took it and whipped it off me, because my world changed after he died. I unraveled and I thought I was going nutty. That's when I really was able to connect with spirit, but I was full of fear. And I went through a really rocky phase. And that was the slow part. So there's so much to life, and there's so many ways to look at things. So when you have that loss, what was the gold nugget from it? I didn't discover the gold nugget from my dad until 8 years after he died.
Right.
But there was a gold nugget there. It just took me that long to find it.
Well, I think that's the key to finding that lesson, that nugget in every situation, good and bad. I mean, and when you can do that, I think each time you do that, you're lifting yourself up one more out of that depressive state, and you're releasing that anxiety a little bit too, don't you, Lori?
Yeah, I think when we talk about the work, a lot of times we'll say, well, we've done the work, we've done the inner work. That's exactly what it is, right? It's taking it to the next step and the next step and the next step in every opportunity you're given, like trying to raise that vibration in every opportunity, whether it's, you know, that your energy's dropped really low and you have to find that nugget and get past it. And it may take time. You know, we always want to rush things and things to be so quick, but just like you just said, you couldn't find it immediately. It takes time, and we have to do that work. And that's why the work that you're doing is so important, because you're helping people that may not have the tools in their toolbox to be that bridge to help them get more clear, remember who they are, and remember that soul piece of themselves, so that you're there to guide them through that process, because that's not something that we're taught how to do.
Yeah. So I guess for me, what to expect out of me is what I have available now is you can go to my website, and.klossing.com, and you can buy the book, Women Who Shine, on the website. The other thing, and that's a chapter. And if I don't resonate with you in that book, you can go to my website and buy it. Pump, pump. There are 30 other authors in there that may resonate with you. And there are some pretty astounding stories in there. So the other thing you can find is the channel clearing sessions, and you can sign up for those. And what to expect in 2022. I'm getting the full signal to go for it, finish this book, and at the same time, coming out with some evergreen programs that you can do online. So it'd be a short video. So it's the Clearing Your Path to Your Soul series, and there'll be a total of 6. So how those are going to roll out, I'm not 100% sure. But that's what I'm loving about my book, Finding You is Finding God, Overcoming Abuse, Depression, and Fear, is giving that person. I didn't have a manual. I was a government employee for 20 years. I lived by manuals. I wanted a manual. The closest thing I could get to was Esther and Jerry Hicks, Ask and It Is Given. Then I lapped up everything I could by Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay. It's just love those people dearly. And part of my inspiration of writing this book was Louise Hay. So at a conference that I had attended with my life partner, Lynn's our fire chief for our township, he went off for his meeting, and I was sitting on the bed, and we never got a riverside view. And for some reason, I got a riverside view. So I was just sitting there. It was cold. It was October. It was windy that morning, and you could see the wakes coming across the river in the view. And while I'm sitting there, I was just, Louise Hay had passed like in August, and I was just thinking, God, it would really be neat, you know, if I could have met her or gone to something. All of a sudden, it was like, boom, there was this voice, and it was her, and I was starstruck, totally starstruck. So I wrote this letter. I wrote my notes down and I framed them. So that's my reminder. So basically, her words were, we need you to write. and there's going to be a wave of writers. And it was just beautiful. So she inspired me to write. And when she came through, it's like, you do have a gift and you need to do something with it.
Well, you do, and we actually share you in the Positive Vibe Tribe. You mentioned our Facebook group a minute ago, and so Tanya all the time is sharing your words.
Thank you.
You should share them. Feel free to do it yourself and just share them on there, because what you're sharing is real life input and things that we need that may resonate. We've got a big group now. It's like almost 27,000 people. And I know it resonates with me and Tanya all the time. So we know if it resonates with us, that other people feel the same way. So we appreciate you sharing in that way too. You're writing. That's another form of writing, right?
And I was going to say, we don't share things in that group that don't resonate. And so anytime I see something from you, most of the time, and what I do love about what you put out there is it is not usually just a thought. It is a thought, a reason, and an action step. And so I think for Lori and I, that's where we came from, is we came from a background of, we didn't even realize we were vibrating low. And then when we realized, we had to work really hard. I mean, this was six years ago. So it wasn't as mainstream as it is now. We didn't have people like all of us talking about this out loud because it's voodoo and witch stuff, right? I mean, you know, we didn't have that. And so we were literally, we grabbed onto a little group of friends, and we were picking their brain because they had done a little bit more than we had, and they were in a city and in an area where it was a little more mainstream. And so we were literally mining for information and for who do we listen to and what do we do and what's a tool. And so I think that that's why you resonate with me at least so well, is because when I do see something you've put out, it is, here's the problem, or here's a feeling, or here, but here's the who and why, and this is how, like, here's a tool. And I think that for us, we're sharing that with our group simply because that's what we want to be providing, is we don't want people to have to work as hard as we did to find those tools.
Exactly, which is the reason I'm writing the book. You've got a handy little manual to get yourself started. And then the posts that I do on my Facebook page, it's public. Anybody can go there. I keep little personal stuff on it, just because it's, the messages are not my messages. These are coming through me. So I said, in some mornings they pop in just like that, or I might be doing my gratitude journal and it'll pop in like that. And it's like, is this what you want me to put out there? The answer is yes. So that's what I do. And on occasion, I get to bring in my personal experience where I talk about my dad's passing. Things like that I get to celebrate his life that he lived while here on earth. So that's me playing small. So if you'd like me to start sharing to the group, I can. I just don't want to overwhelm anyone.
No, absolutely. We'd love that. And for our listeners who maybe are not on Facebook and in our group, the Positive Vibe Tribe, you can look us up and find us. We're again about 27,000 members. It's a closed group, so you'll have to ask to request it. But Ann, that's exactly the information we want to provide our members. And we'll post everything you just said, your website, your book, all of that will be posted in the show notes here, so people can get in touch with you. They can book a session. They can buy Women Who Rise. Lori and I both own every book in that whole series. And so, you know, that it's a great, and we can't wait for this manual you're creating, because
I know I gotta get it done.
Come on.
Yeah, there's just certain people, I think, sometimes that come across you in life that you just automatically connect to. And for some reason, Tanya and I both felt that way about you. Like, yeah, we felt like we were helping you, right? Because you had asked for volunteers, and we said, sure, we'll help you. And I think the beauty of what Ann provides is she's so genuine and real. And I believed that you had messages from wherever, whatever people believe, that they weren't you talking. It wasn't your mind making up these messages for me. It was actual things that really hit home for me. And not many people share those gifts. They may have them, but they don't share them. And so we're so proud of you for just the growth we've seen over the last couple of years, but also just wanted to share with our listeners, because if you're listening to us, that means you trust us, right? And so Tanya and I both, for some reason, and there's always a reason behind things, we really connected with you and wanted to share you on our podcast. So we really are thankful that you spent time with us today.
So thank you.
I have so much love and gratitude for both of you. You two were literally the first two people that I did channel clearing with. And so, yeah, it was like 1, 2, and yeah, so it was a profound experience. And yes, I have my confidence much better every now and then. That's the thing with channeling, is you don't get it right all the time because of that human side of you. But I would say if you can get 75% of it or higher, you're doing really, really good. And when it comes back and it resonates, that's awesome.
Yeah, well,
So,
we appreciate the reading, but we also appreciate your friendship and you being in our sphere of like-minded, positive professionals, all trying to help others. So we really appreciate you being here today.
Right. And when you do a reading, if you're looking at getting into it, and this is for the readers, is do your research. Make sure you're comfortable with that person, because some people are in it for the money. And yes, I do charge, but some people are just in it for the money and they're going to tell you a story.
Yes.
And
we have experienced that. Lori and I've experienced some situations where we thought, oh, that wasn't really what we're used to or what we needed it to be. So yes, that's a great way to leave everybody today. So if you Anne's the real deal. So if you want to go that route, please do. But if you have someone or you choose to use somebody else for this kind of clearing, just do your research.
Yes, definitely.
Thanks, guys.